separated.
Hi, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel, and today let's talk about that TARDIS. I didn't want to clutter up my review with talking too much about the TARDIS. I mentioned it obviously, but in the Ghost Monument we got a first look at the brand new TARDIS interior. Well, I say first look because there were some leaks earlier on, a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that, and there were sort of two batches of leaks. That's the word I'm trying to say. The first batch was professional looking photos taken. There was one of the Doctor against the wall of when you first walk in the TARDIS, that big wall, and there was one from the outside of the TARDIS looking in, and you could just sort of make out sort of colour schemes slightly in that one. I saw those ones, and well, I thought they were official releases, so I made a video, and then I found out before releasing the video that they were in fact leaks, and therefore I never did release that video and my reaction to them. Here's just some of that bit of video of me reacting to them at the time. It's a very dark, textured look. I don't really know how to describe it. It reminded me a bit like the cogs from the Peter Capaldi opening sequence. I must admit, I was very surprised at how dark it looked when I first saw the image, because I don't know about you, but all the marketing, all of the publicity so far, what we've seen of Jodie's Doctor seems like a very bright, vibrant incarnation of the Doctor. And to me, the darkness of this wall doesn't quite fit. However, saying that, we did get one other picture, which is a shot from outside the TARDIS looking in through the doors, as presumably some people work on the set building it. Now this one does look a little bit brighter. My only concern with this, and I know it might just be a matter of perspective, but I like the big, expansive, multi-layered console rooms, and I'm really hoping we get another multi-layered console room, just so there's more space to play with in the scenes that are set within the TARDIS. And from this, it does look a bit claustrophobic looking in. However, I do know from the nature of filming that sometimes that's just the case. When you're looking through a tight space with a camera, you won't necessarily see the full expanse of the space. So I'm hoping once we get in there and see it, it looks a lot bigger. So that's a bit of my reaction from back then. Since then, there was another leak which I managed to mostly avoid, of the actual console room but not properly lit. I did not look at those, apart from the one time when I was scrolling down Twitter and it was just there, and I quickly scrolled past as much as I could, but I kind of got the general gist of the crystal theme of it all. So I tried to avoid that leak as much as possible. So come Sunday, when the episode aired, I had a sort of hint, and I knew some elements of what the interior would look like, but not all of it. So what do I think now? Well, picking up on what I said before about the wall, I'm in two minds about the wall, because I quite like the pattern. I like the geometric, the shapes. I like what they've done, that it's this TARDIS's roundels. I kind of like the shape of them. I just really don't like the really dark colour of them. And it just looks like a stone wall, and I kind of get what they're going. I've seen lots of people say that this is a bit of a mashup in terms of tone between the 8th Doctor's TARDIS from the TV movie and Tennant's TARDIS with the coral and the organic stuff, and I can see that this wall probably plays a big part in that comparison, because it's the walls, the kind of cathedral style walls from the 8th Doctor's TARDIS have the same sort of colour scheme as this wall, so maybe that's what they were going for. And while I absolutely adore the 8th Doctor's TARDIS, and for many years it was my favourite TARDIS interior, I'm not sure about the colour scheme here. I think it's just a bit too dark, and that's a criticism I would extend to the whole TARDIS from what we've seen so far. It's a bit dark and shadowy in places, and I'm not sure I like it. But I do like the patterns on them, so there's that. And another thing I quite like, which I didn't mention in my last, when I recorded my reaction to this wall initially, is that if you look at the way the shapes kind of at the edges, just as you go into where the door is, kind kind of reminds me a little bit of the old TARDIS doors and the way they would join together, that kind of shape. Another thing I like about the entrance is the TARDIS sides, the sides of the police box. The fact that you've got 3 sides this time, and I quite like that. That's quite nice. You go into a little sort of cubby, police box cubby hole thing before you go out, and when you come in. I quite like that. That bit I quite like. Yeah, it's dark. It's all on one level. I'm really disappointed about that. Or at least it seems to be all on one level. I really liked what they did with Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi's TARDISes, where they had different levels, they had walkways, they had stairs, it felt a bit more like, and you could see the corridors going off into places and doors that would lead off into other bits of the TARDIS, and it felt more like a big infinite space ship. This kind of feels like a quite claustrophobic small room, a bit like Tennant's TARDIS did in many ways, and a lot like a lot of the classic TARDISes did as well. But I really liked the innovation they had when they started putting in different levels during the Moffat era and the walkways and stuff, and I really wish they'd kept that element. Even if they kept the rest of the theme, if they kept that somehow, that would have been really nice. It's a shame to lose that. I don't like the crystals. I'm sorry, I don't like them, and I'm not entirely sure about the logic of them. From an aesthetic point of view, from a production design point of view, I'm guessing they wanted to tie the look of the sonic screwdriver in with the TARDIS, but from a story point of view, I mean, she made the TARDIS on Earth, the TARDIS, she made the sonic screwdriver on Earth, the TARDIS was nowhere near. Why do they share a theme? I don't understand the plot reason for that, but also I don't think they look good. So, I'm not a massive fan of organic looking TARDISes anyway. I mean, the Tennant one was okay, it was fine, I didn't dislike it. I think I like it more than this one, but I much prefer a TARDIS interior that looks like a ship than some kind of organic thing. The console itself, while most of the design of the actual sort of structure of it looks fine, I don't mind that. I'm not keen on the hourglass thing, and I'm not keen on, I mean, I don't see why a TARDIS which has just regenerated itself, just redecorated, would be all higgledy-piggledy and have all sorts of random contraptions on it. But the thing I really don't like the model TARDIS, the little model police box that spins around. That just seems tacky on the TARDIS's part, very self-indulgent, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I do like the biscuit dispenser though, custard cream dispenser. I'd have that in my TARDIS, definitely. Might have Oreos in mine though, although I do like a custard cream too. But if I had to pick one type of biscuit for it to dispense, probably would be Oreos. Which probably isn't British enough for Doctor Who, admittedly. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the TARDIS. What are yours? Do you like the interior? I'm not keen. I've liked a lot of what they've done with this new series. The TARDIS so far is my biggest dislike. So I don't know. We've only seen it for one scene so far, so I am willing to give it a bit more time and to see, maybe I'll reassess at the end of the season and see what it's like. At some point, I'm going to do a ranking of all of my favourite TARDIS interiors, but I'm going to wait a little while and let this one bed in a bit before I give it a ranking, I think. So I'll do that at some point. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the TARDIS interior. Do you like it? Which bits of it do you like? You might like me, you might like bits of it and dislike other bits of it. I don't hate everything about it, but there's a lot I don't like. What about you? I'll be back for another review on Sunday, of course, reviewing Rosa. So subscribe if you haven't already, and press all those buttons and all that jazz, and hopefully I'll see you then. And in the meantime, why don't you click here on some other of my videos. Here's last week's review, and here's something YouTube thinks you might like. See you on Sunday, hopefully. Bye.